Hi guys, in this video I will explain how you can integrate React Native maps inside a React Native application as well as integrate clustering if you have a lot of markers to render in your maps and increase performance of your application. So this is an application that I am making for my friend. So I have discussed in detail about this application in my previous video where I integrated React Native Mapbox as well as clustering in that. So check it out. So in this application, there is sign in, and then once the user signs in, he would be sent to this particular screen where he would see all the markers. So this is an application I am making for my friend. So this won't be available in the app stores, but I'm making sure that it's available in both Android and iOS. So that's why I'm showcasing the demo in both of that. So let's get into it. I'm going to enter his email. So I'm going to discuss some concepts that I missed in the previous video. So where like in the email, like in the email part, right? Like email and password, I used a library called Formic to properly handle the errors, etc. Right? If the email is not written, and then if the user signs in or the some error is there, I provide some toast as well as I use a library called a concept called avoiding view, keyboard avoiding view, where once the keyboard is when the input is focused, right, or on blurred, when the input is focused, the keyboard pushes the input fields up so that it provides a proper view. So this is also available in Android and iOS. So it's very neat, right? Let's take I enter the provided email, right? So this is my friend's email. It's a test, like this is a demo app, right? It's just used for internally small business purposes. So I'll enter the password. So once I do that, I'll tap on sign in. So the user will be signed in. I use Firebase authentication with what I would say email auth to do this stuff. And if I close and reopen the app, the user will be still in this particular screen because the user is authenticated, and the stack screens which I had before with help of React navigation wouldn't show because I use conditional operators to hide that. So now let's get into the video, right? Video's content. So for this to work, you have to install a library called React Native Maps. For that to work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the exact version for you to use, right? So this is not the latest version, but this is the version which would help you to run the app in the like old arc. Like in the new arc, what happened is after this version, all the all the versions were compatible only for new architecture, and the old ones crashed, right? So I'm using this one so that I like for this demo purposes I'm using Warthog. So I'm just saying that you have to install this one, and then that's it. That to be frank, that's all the requirements for rendering the maps. For utilizing the React Native cluster, right? So we are going to use a library called React Native Cluster, not the super cluster one. This one to properly cluster all the markers with the help of the algorithm provided by that, and then showcase that in the app. So let's get into it. So I have integrated a lot of features in this particular screen itself. Right. The first one is, in the last video I missed this. So if you see this video, you are lucky. Right. So at the top, the status bar is transparent, and the bottom bar is also transparent, and it looks very nice, and is also edge to edge compatible. Right. The library that I used is called React Native bar color. And then this is the library to hide and change the navigation bars color so that your app looks uniform throughout the like in all the screens. And I use React Native bars so that the jumping of the status bar and the bottom bar doesn't happen. So both of these are recommended, but this is how I do it. Right. So I will explain the code one by one. You can leave this one. Okay, this is not required in this particular library. So okay, so, I think okay. I'll close this. Sorry. Okay, let's leave it there. Sorry. Let's scroll down one by one. I will explain. So I'm going to set the max and the min zoom level like this, and then what is this get random new data? So I'm going to tap on that, and then this is what we call GeoJSON data, right? So if you have the latitude and longitude, you still have to convert the values into GeoJSON value with the help of this particular function, and then you have to input that in the clustering library that I have done. So I will explain that later. So this is the component that we are going to use. So I just named it as user location monitor, but you can do it any like in any name you want. This is just for demo purposes. The next one is the location, right? Location, region, and then the zoom levels, etc. So main thing is when the user comes to this particular screen, right? You have to ask proper permissions so that the locations you can grab the locations, etc. Right. In my previous video, I would have explained how like how what is the difference between precise and accurate location, or precise and approximate locations, etc. in Android. So you may want to see that to understand what are the different kind of location permissions that you can get from the user to monitor them, etc. Right? Or how like yeah, monitor them. And then next one is the geolocation library. So this is out of scope for this one. But what I'm doing here is once I get the user's current location after the permissions are given, and then I set the location of that user to that particular location. Right. So you can do it in that way. We'll come one by one. And the next one is this. So this is the most important part. For Android, I'm going to set the background color as transparent, and I'm going to hide the bottom navigation bar. And for safety purposes, I'm also going to change the navigation bar to transparent. Once I do that, the app will be compliant for edge to edge, and then the bottom and the top bar would would be transparent, and it would look like iOS, right? So the next thing, yeah, okay, I'm going to request permissions like this. For this to work, I used a library called React Native Permissions, and you can use that as well. So the React Native bars and the React Native boot splash and all these are made by Zuntech. He's a great guy. So thanks for him for doing this open source stuff. So these things are not required now. And then in why I'm using handle zoom is in iOS, as you can see, I have used a custom plus and minus, right? So these guys in iOS we don't have plus and minus because like we use Apple Maps here. Apple Maps is free, but Google Map is paid. I will explain how we can do the installation, etc. later. Now comes the like handle press. I'll discuss that later, right? So as you can see, I have entered the status bar, which makes our app end to end, and then comes the part where autocomplete, right? So for this, I'll just show you the demo, but it is nice, right? I integrated this feature for my friend. Let's take. I'm going to enter what thing Brooklyn, right? So Brooklyn. So I think it's not typing. Okay, Brooklyn. If I do that, the Mapbox API would get triggered. I think it's not. So once I type that, you can see I got all these things. So the addresses. Now if I tap on that one, you can see a nice circle is there, where the middle point is the coordinates data that I grab when I tap on the address. And then I add a circle which is 10 kilometers of radius from that point. So this is for his own small business's purpose. But this is the functionality that I did when the user taps on that. I use Mapbox's autocomplete API. I completely changed the library that I have installed. So this is the one. So I changed a lot of things here to be compatible with my own one. So if I showcase that, you can see I used the V6 forward API. Before it was different, and I also introduced debounce so that the API call doesn't go rapidly. And then for now, I just limited to US for demo purposes. For us, it's India, right? Now, if I scroll down, that's the purpose of that. And when the user taps on the place, I select I update the state of the selected marker to what this particular coordinate, and then I also get the full address, right? So if I go here and then tap on that, the call out would be that particular name, and then let's take I zoom out, right? So if I zoom out and then I tap on this, okay, I'll tap somewhere. Okay, so if I tap on that, okay, so sorry, when I tap on that particular, okay, I'll go back and then. Okay, I'll do that again. You can see I animate to that particular point. So I do that with the help of this animate ring, right? This one. So I animate to that particular region with the with 4,500 milliseconds range, and then these are relevant, right? Next one, this handle zoom. So in as I said, in Apple Maps we don't have that particular zoom feature there. So I did it manually. But for iOS or for Android, it's already available natively. So you can see it's working, right. So that is there. And then next one is the map view. So this is where the most important side comes. The dark doesn't look that good, so I'm going to change it to light. Once I do that, if I go back to the this one, you can see it's in light mode. It looks nice. Okay, but in the map box we styled it heavily. But coming to the React Native Maps side, you can't style Apple Maps. It's either light or dark. They don't allow you any styling other than that. But for Google Maps, we have something called cloud map styling. I will just check it. Okay, so I'll go here, cloud map styling. Okay, you can see styling. Right, if you go here, you can see cloud. This one, you can tap on here and then use the legacy, or I'll just click on this. Right, you can do all these thing, aubergine, dark, night. You can get that. I think finish. Okay, you can get this particular JSON, and then you can change the color of the your Android maps there. But but in iOS, if you want, this is Apple Maps, right? You can also use Google Maps, but I recommend using Apple Maps because it's more natively faster, or I recommend using that. But apps like Zomato, right, they use Google Maps only. If you see carefully at the bottom in iOS as well, right, because their APIs are very advanced, so that the directions all work properly. So that is there. And then if I go back to the code, here comes the clusterer, which I will explain later. And then you can see the marker. So you can also change the marker pin color in this way. And then when the user taps on that one, you can animate to that particular location. So if I go here, let's take like think if I do this, as you guys know, the simulator would show the location of California, right? I think yeah. So if you tap on that marker, you would go and like animate to that particular region. So that's it for the map views. So I will also discuss the handle zoom, right? So when the user taps on the handle zoom, it's like we have this zoom in is true or false, because we want to follow the drive principle, right? When the user taps on both of the buttons, we call this, and then we would animate to like we would check the latitude delta value, and then we will change the zoom level, right? If the zoom level is 7 or 8, right, it automatically gets like it adds one and the subtraction, and then it changes the latitude delta and the longitude delta's value, and then it updates to the region state, which is here, right? That's how we do it, right? So yeah, so like that's like I will share this source code, right? So the later at the later point where you can use this, and then to increase your applications performance and UX as a whole, right? And then the next part is the installation, right? Once the installation part is done, I will move to the clustering side. So this is the circle, right? This is the circle that we render when the user taps on that autocomplete, and then the marker at the center. This is the one, right? So for the installation, what you have to do is I'm going to go to their website. You have to install that, and then for the Android side, most of the people have a lot of doubts on how to get the paid API key, right? So this is an account, the paid account from me, right? I use it for testing my own apps. I will delete this immediately after explaining this, right? So if I go to the Android manifest, I have to enter all like I have to add this metadata here, and then the and like the API key here, right? Then only it will work, or else it won't work, right? It will simply don't show anything. So how do you get this value? So what you have to do in once you get your API, like once you get a paid account, right, verified paid account, you click on create API key, and then the API key will be created, right? Once that key is created, okay, I'll just show you. So I'll go back. Once the API key is created, right, you can see these are secured and these are not secured. I'm going to secure it, right? I'm going to show you how I'm going to secure this. So I'll tap on this. Okay, so you can okay. You should be very careful here. I'm just going to use it in my Android app only for maps. Permissions. Tap on the Android app. Click on this. Enter your package name. So I'm going to use what package name. So this is what I named the app Wear and Watch. So I'm going to use Wear and Watch. SHA-1 key, where you can get the SHA-1 key. So here you can see the debug and the release certificates. So if I go here, if I again go to the Android, but this is already in production. In what I would say in for my friend, I just gave him for testing. Right, I already created the release one. So in the debug one, if I open that, reveal in Finder. This is the same for all the applications. So you should have that key store like Explorer app installed in your Mac or Windows. Once you do that, the password is this one, and then I'm going to tap on that. Okay, here if I tap on this, no. So I'll tap on this SHA-1. I'm going to copy this SHA-1, copy, and then go here and paste it here. Click on done. Now what will happen is this particular API key will be only applicable to this particular package name, as well as let's say 100, like anyone can use that package name, but the fingerprint will always be unique, right? So the fingerprint like will be this, like for your release one that would be different. I can't showcase that, but once you do that, this API key will be used only for that. The next one is you can restrict the key, right? You can tap on restrict key, go here and tap on maps, right? I'm going to use SDK for Android. That's it. Click on OK, save. Once you save that, even if your API key is leaked, nothing will happen, right? So your let's take if they grab your SHA-1 key, right, then the R is lost. But even if they if they don't have your SHA-1 key, then you should be good to go, right? There is no problem from there. You can just simply rotate the key or like regenerate the key, etc. And then this will only be available for this package name that you published to your Play Store, and this will be extremely secure. Make sure that you have a proper paid account, right? Google Cloud account. Now I'm going to delete this, deleting, and then yeah, that's it. So yeah, right. Okay, so that's how you do it for Android side, right? For iOS, there is nothing to do. Like you have to go to the Xcode. You just have to enable that maps permission from the no allowed thing, right? That's it, right? So this particular app is running in Pixel 8, right? API 34. So you should be so that you should know that it's the latest version. So that's it for the installation, configuration, and all these things required for React Native maps. I also showcased you how you can animate to a position, and then use markers with pins and then circle. Now let's jump into the clusterer part. So if I go here, right? So what is this? Right, let's go to that library. Close this. This is the no, not this one. This library, React Native clusterer, right? This library is the most comprehensive and yet easiest to use React Native point clustering library. Uses C++ implementation of supercluster. So this is the supercluster library, and then and it's a JSI it uses JSI bindings, which is 10x faster than the initial point loading times than its JavaScript counterpart. What is this, right? So this is a library created by Hoffman, where he used the implementations or the algorithm from supercluster, made it show that it works in C++, right? That's how JSI is made. And then let's take, okay, I'll go to the benchmarks, right? So let's go to the issues. Some guy, okay, I'll go on close, right? So some gentleman did this. So performance comparison, right? Here are two screenshots for example of 1,000, right? You can see the comparison, right? So get initialization time, get clusters time, right? He would have shown the difference between the normal supercluster and React Native cluster. Okay, so you can see the initialization time itself is 452 milliseconds here, but for the React Native cluster, it's just 42 milliseconds. For the get cluster time, that's not a problem. Main thing is the initialization, right? So you have to, as I said in the initial start of the video, even if you have the coordinates, it should be in GeoJSON format, and then you have to convert that GeoJSON format to the clusterer format, as the same as we discussed in Mapbox video, right? So the first thing we do is, if I in this one, I'll scroll down. Okay, so in the clusterer part, I will also, okay, I can do that. What you have to do is, you have to import clusterer from the React Native clusterer. You have to install that library and do pod install. Once you do that, in the clusterer side, right? So here I have value, something called value. So get random data, and then here, as we saw in the Mapbox video, we are just rendering 450 coordinates, 200 in New York, 250 in San Jose, right? And then we are converting it into JSON format. Once we do that, I'm going to use that in the clusterer one. So I'm going to tap on, okay, not this, clusterer one, right? And the next one is the clusterer marker, right? So this is the most important, like same as the Mapbox is the most important part. But this one we have to do it completely from our side. So I'll tap on this. I'll go here, right? So here I have imported marker as maps marker, and I have used it here. That is done. Here like this is like I have memoized it, right? Like I have memoized each and every like marker, so that even if the state renders at the top, it doesn't affect it, right? Because it shouldn't affect, right? It won't flicker, etc. And then I also use track views change, like to improve the performance. Now comes the main part. This is the main part, right? So let's go here. Let's go to our iOS simulator. I'm going to zoom in, right? If I zoom in, you can see what is happening. The no the sorry the like points are getting declustered. And then if I zoom back, okay, this is if I zoom back, you can see the the points get clustered back. How we do this, right? So we this particular cluster component, when we pass the GeoJSON values into the clusterer component, the JSI implementations inside that particular library convert all the GeoJSON values into the cluster, like custom clustered values, right? And then it would provide those data back, right? How do we get that data? We get that data with the help of render item, and then we render the map box ourselves. So we render the map box ourselves like this, and then here you can see right here is point cluster. Actually, the main part is the East Point cluster. I will discuss that. So what happens is as we zoom in and zoom out, you can see zoom in and zoom out. We can also send like attach points options here. You can see the super cluster options. We can provide min zoom, max zoom, min points, radius, etc. Right. So main thing is radius. So the radius of this circle is 18 no 8 18, and then we can increase decrease it as we want. But how does the library understand the understand we zoom in or zoomed out? That is done with the help of this select region state, right? If I go here, I have initialized it at the top with the latitude delta, longitude delta, and as the particular maps region changes, right, we call this library. Okay, leave this one. We call this library, sorry, we call this function to grab all the latitude and longitude changes and then update the state, right? So the change in region is being monitored by another state. And then we pass that. So when the user zooms in and zooms out, this particular region state changes, right? So the library grabs that region changes, and then it converts the values that we have passed here to is point cluster, like like let's take if that is a cluster or not. Should that particular points be considered a cluster or a normal point? That's how they do it, right? As we zoom in, it properly uses the logic where it automatically declusters, as you can see in this manner. And then as I move forward, we can improve the flickering upon, right? Just demo purposes. So now if I zoom in further, right? So you can see I have this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in like this. Okay, you can see that automatically separated out. So if I do this again, once more, you can see, right? That's how we do it. Right? That's how the library does it, right? So if that point is now, how do we show it, right? That is the main part. How do we show it? So in the maps marker, we render a custom marker itself, like how we did with the map box. We render a custom marker itself, which shows the point count. For let's take if we have 3 clusters, and then how many markers are in that cluster. So let's take if we have 20, that will be shown here, and you can customize however you want. So I'm going to change it to what red, right? Red. If I do that, If I go back, you can see it would be in red. If I go back, it would be in this color, right? Red color. And then I can also change the font family, everything is customizable here. And also change the text color here. One more nice part is, as like, let's take if the points are not clustered, right? So if I scroll like this, if I do this, right, if I tap on it, you can see my name, whatever I have written here has been showcased here, right? And then there is no need to worry about the flicker, because this is just for demo purposes. I did the zoom in and zoom out, but users will usually do this only. Okay, if this doesn't flicker, right, then there is no problem. Now let's see the implementation part in Android, right? That is the main part. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this. Okay, you can see it is automatically clustering, right? That's it. That's how you do it. And then I can also change this, right? So this is not nice, so I'll change it to red. If I do that red, it's taking some time to the JS bundle is not updated. Okay, it has updated. Okay, so you can see it's in red, and if I tap on that, my thing is there, like callout is there with my custom font as well, which looks very nice. That's how I do it. Right, that's how you can do the clustering. The main part is all the heavy lifting is done by this library, and we have to understand what is happening in the background. Right, it took some time for me to understand all these things, but I was able to do it. Now let's see the to conclude this video. Let's see how that like this autocomplete works. So if I write Brooklyn, right, Brooklyn, and then tap on that, I think Brooklyn here. Okay, so if I tap on that, you can see a nice map is there, and then sorry, our circle is there, and say center of that we have that, and then I can also show that call out there. Okay, the thing is, if the user is here, you can check. Okay, this user is this much time, like far away, or in this circle itself, like the business application goes from there. Yeah, right. So that's how you can integrate clustering inside your React Native application with the help of React Native cluster as well as React Native maps. So this project is in JavaScript, but I recommend using it in TypeScript as a demo, and then just I just have to finish the app for it. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for this video. I will provide all the source code, all the library links in a later time or in the next week. So for the status bar, you can use the React Native bars, and then the status bar from React Native itself, and then the library called React Native navigation bar color to change the bar color of the app in Android. Okay, this only works in Android. Okay, so you have to provide this permission, or so this particular code, right? Like you should, if it's in Android, then enter that. So thank you for watching this video. Do let me know how it is.